Welcome back to my channel where we talk about everything relating to anxiety and our mental well-being. So in today's video, we're looking into the long and the short-term solutions to help us understand how to feel less anxious. So let's just jump straight into the pros and cons of short-term solutions for overcoming anxiety first. When we are feeling anxious, there are multiple short-term solutions that we can implement that will help us alleviate anxiety in that absolute moment when we're feeling it. So one of the ways is to distract ourselves. When we distract ourselves and focus on something other than our anxiety, we may feel less anxious in the moment. This can give us an opportunity to refocus our thoughts immediately. We can numb our anxiety, and that can include things like shopping, scrolling through social media, excessive working, gaming, even drinking alcohol. But the downside with this approach is that when we stop distracting and numbing ourselves, our anxieties will reappear. Another way that we can get rid of anxiety in that moment, that feeling, is to unspin the feeling. Now, I know this sounds a bit strange, and I've got a whole separate video on this that you can refer back to. But what it does, it creates new neural pathways in our brain by unspinning the familiar feeling of anxiety. So all you do, you focus where exactly in your body is your anxiety right now. It might be in your tummy, it might be in your chest, it might be in your head. It could be in a number of different places, and just focus and feel where you feel it right now. And I will put a link in the description, so go across and watch the full video, but just focus on that and you'll notice that it's spinning in a certain way, and you want to reverse that spin it the opposite way, and notice how it changes. And you'll be surprised at how effective this is in the short term. Another thing that we can do that helps in the moment is deep breathing exercises. And I have a lot of breathing exercises on this channel, so feel free to pop on over and have a look at some of those. But deep breathing activates our body's parasympathetic nervous system. And this is the opposite to the sympathetic nervous system, which controls our anxiety. It's our fight and flight response. So deep breathing is absolutely a useful exercise, and it has many, many benefits for our mental and emotional well-being. However, when we use any of these techniques, such as deep breathing and the unspinning and the numbing and the distracting, what it is, we're teaching our brain that it's not okay to feel anxious. And that can lead to us feeling ashamed and frustrated or embarrassed about our feelings. So what we need to do is incorporate some long-term strategies alongside these short-term solutions. And this is because when we distract ourselves and numb our feelings, they would just keep continuing to pop back up. So we want to deal with them and move on past them. Otherwise, we end up feeling anxious about being anxious. And it soon becomes a spiral. So by immediately avoiding the anxious feeling, we're tricking our brain into thinking that whatever is making us anxious in the first place is actually a real threat. Instead, if we need to accept that anxiety is the fear of something in the future, something that hasn't yet happened, distracting ourselves from that feeling at that moment in time, we just continue to relive that feeling over and over again until the event actually does take place. And it's often never quite as bad as we think it is. So if you're finding this helpful, then please like, subscribe and share this video with someone that you think would benefit. And hit the notification button so you stay updated with all of our latest content. Now, before we delve into the long-term strategies, you may be wondering, who am I and how am I qualified to help you? Well, my name is Jennifer Roblin. I'm an anxiety specialist and therapist. I've been practicing since 2016, and I've helped countless individuals regain control of their lives and overcome their anxiety. And I do this using my own learned experience of overcoming anxiety myself, alongside the experience of my clients and my training and my research. So, longer term strategies for overcoming anxiety. There's quite a few that we can use, and they will all help us. If we are struggling with an anxiety disorder and want to feel less anxious for good, you will find it helpful to also incorporate these additional strategies in your life. So here's a fresh perspective on managing anxiety disorders for lasting well-being. The number one thing I think we should do is ditch the label. Stop referring to yourself or someone else as an anxious person. Our thoughts shape our feelings. So opt for kinder, more balanced self-talk to break the cycle of constant anxiety. If we're constantly identifying with feeling anxious, this is exactly how we will feel. Where we put our focus, where focus goes, energy flows. And we have a choice of the label that we give ourselves. By focusing consistently on being anxious, we will attract more anxiety into our lives, as our brains are constantly looking for evidence to prove to ourselves that we're right. And sadly, all too often, I receive calls from anxious parents telling me how anxious their child is. They tell me their child has been a worrier all their life, and there's no way that their child can cope to coming and having therapy with me on their own. The mother or father insists on coming with me, with the child to see me. And when they arrive, the parent does the majority of the talking, telling me in depth all about how the child is feeling. I politely listen, and then I ask the child if they would like to attend the next therapy session alone. And every time, without fail, the child says yes. So I'm not judging here. I'm not criticising, because I was one of those parents. When my daughter was young, I was constantly afraid for her and her safety, and I was overpowering and constantly trying to protect her. And she was a shy, anxious child. She had never had a chance to prove that she was capable of things. So it was only when I started reflecting on my journey and coming into being an anxiety coach and reflecting back on the anxiety that I'd had as a child that I realised I had to change my ways. And instead of telling her to constantly stay safe, we flipped the language over to have fun. And as a result, she's now a confident teenager. So when a child is not given the opportunity to do and learn things on their own, it's no surprise they feel they're not capable. It's no surprise that they need someone to support them through life. They tell me how their parents have always told them that they're a worrier, and it is clear that they have taken on that identity for themselves. So it's incredibly damaging both for us and anyone we give that label to. If we're constantly labelling ourselves as an anxious person, a shy person, a worried person, is it any wonder that we're going to constantly feel that way? My second top tip is talk kindly to yourself. I imagine you would never talk to your friend with the same language that you use to talk to yourself. So take responsibility for the words that you use and aim for kinder, more balanced self-talk. You may find it useful to keep track of your thoughts, and there's a link to my thoughts diary in the description, and you can start tracking exactly what it is you're thinking and saying to yourself, and you may be surprised. I also have a list of cognitive distortions that you can print out and have a look at, and it's another worksheet, and you'll be surprised. We all use these cognitive distortions all the time. It's where we catastrophize something, or we think in black and white. We don't think of the middle ground. It's either yes or no, right or wrong. There's nothing in between. So have a look over in the description and you'll find quite a lot of resources that can help you there. Avoid drawn out conversations with yourself. Now, I remember when I had anxiety and I was really struggling, I was terrible at this. Now, everyone worries and it is completely natural. Thoughts will come and go, so avoid drawn out conversations with yourself and your anxiety where you try and justify how you're feeling. Observe the thoughts that you're having. We're not trying to ignore them completely. We're aware of them, we're observing them. And just imagine that thought drifting away on a cloud, just drifting on by. So it's getting further and further away from us. Visualize it going off into the distance. We don't want to deny or bury the thought. We want to acknowledge it, but just not give it any attention. So because we have a worry, it doesn't mean we have to keep worrying. Mark Twain summed this up very well with one of my favourite quotes. And he said, "I've had a lot of worries in my life, most of which never happened." And that sums up anxiety brilliantly. So when I was younger, I gave my anxiety a name. I called it Bruce. When an unhelpful thought came into my head, I thanked Bruce and told him I didn't need that thought right now, so he could just bugger off with it. So practice training your mind to observe without engaging. Befriend your anxiety. Now, this sounds so strange. The last thing people want to do is befriend it, but the sole purpose of anxiety is to keep us safe, and we would not have survived as a species without it. Anxiety is like a smoke alarm that warns us of potential danger. Sometimes the smoke alarm goes off when we've just burnt the toast. The danger is not real. The smoke alarm is just giving us a warning. When we feel anxious, what is the underlying fear that we're being warned about? Ask yourself, is it a real fear or not? What evidence have you got to support your thoughts, that feeling of fear? Overwhelm, fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of rejection, they're all common forms of anxiety. And if we're feeling overwhelmed, what can we do to break the tasks down into smaller tasks that are much more manageable? If we're feeling like we're failing at something, what skills do we need to learn so that we can improve? Perhaps we're feeling judged. Now, does this person's opinion actually matter? And will you be concerned about this in a month from now? 6 months? A year? Is it really that important? Knowing our anxiety is just like a smoke alarm or warning system enables us to appreciate the warnings that we have been given and enables us to decide for ourselves if it's important or not. So instead of immediately trying to cope with anxiety, try and develop a tolerance for it. Acceptance is key to long-term relief, and be willing to experience anxiety without the immediate urge to eliminate it. Another useful strategy is to be more assertive, because anxiety disorders are often accompanied by difficulty in expressing some of our basic human needs and desires. So practice asking what it is that you want and need. If you need more clarity about a situation, what can you do to obtain it? If you need more love and connection in your life, what can you do to demonstrate self-care and love for yourself? Take back that control. Anxiety disorders can also stem from setting poor boundaries. Being able to say no to unreasonable demands when appropriate is crucial. If we're tolerating something that we're not happy about, our anxiety will continue to remind us that we're not happy. And you know what? It's doing the exact job it's designed to do. So what can you do to put those boundaries in place? Another thing is embrace uncertainty, because life is full of uncertainty. All too often, we try and make meaning out of something that is said or done to us. Acknowledging that we can't always make meaning out of other people's behaviour helps set us free. And lastly, exercise. Exercise not only has multiple benefits to our physical health, but it also plays a crucial role in releasing happy hormones that help us override our anxiety on a more permanent basis. Regular physical activity also enhances our sleep quality, providing a natural way to alleviate worry. Getting enough sleep each night is vital for our mental well-being. Without sleep, we naturally feel more anxious, and the anxiety makes it harder for us to fall asleep, so it becomes a spiral. Make sure you have a good bedtime routine and avoid caffeine or alcohol just before bedtime. So by incorporating these strategies into your daily life, you can cultivate a growth mindset that promotes long-term relief from anxiety disorders. And these small incremental changes can lead to a significant improvement over time. If, however, you are still struggling to understand the root cause of your anxiety, then you may need a trained anxiety specialist or therapist to help you. Taking care of our mental health is vital for our overall well-being, and if left unchecked, anxiety can have a significant impact on our relationships, work, school, family life, every area of our life. So if you're ready to take the next step, click on the link in the description to book a free, no obligation call. There's also links to some of the ebooks that I have that are all free, so just pop on over to the description and you'll find a whole host of worksheets that you can use. So if you found that helpful, please like, subscribe, share it with someone else that you think would benefit, and hit that notification button so then you'll be updated every time I post something new. Well, until next time, bye for now. Thank you.